is our new way of taking attendance. Your name is on the handbook, so if your handbook wasn't picked up, we know you weren't here. And then you get the wrath of the principal. I'm using this because you won't be able to hear me over these fans. They get a little loud. So again, I appreciate you taking time out of your day your evening to come to this meeting. In the 5 years that I've been here, and this is my 5th year, I've never used the word mandatory, and this is an important meeting. We as a middle school have been terribly remiss, I think, at least, again, as long as I've been here, not having a meeting like this, especially for 6th graders coming in. So I apologize to 7th and 8th grade if this is a little redundant, but it never hurt anybody to have things repeated just so we're all on the same page. Okay? And we take this really seriously, obviously. I wouldn't waste your time if we didn't. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things on the agenda, and then I'm going to go through the handbook. I'm not reading it to you, nothing. Of course, they're always going to love you, but you need to help us force them, sometimes if necessary, to step into the world of asserting for themselves, being able to go to a teacher and say, you know what, I didn't get this. I need help. Those are really important skills for children to learn, no matter where they end up in high school. And it's important for you, I think, to let your children know that not everybody understands everything, and it's really okay to ask questions. You have to help us help them to be able to do that. Nobody falls through the cracks here. The junior high has a wonderful system. 6th grade, this will be new for you, but we do something called 6th grade. We do something called roundtables, and that is an opportunity for you to talk with the entire junior high staff rather than having to go individually to each teacher. Sometimes they're pretty intense. Sometimes they're all good. Sometimes you just might want to touch base and see how your child's doing, and an email's not cutting it. So if you need a meeting face-to-face, that's how we do it. Of course, if you're only having trouble in one subject, that's a little different. But we communicate too. And so if we're finding across the board that, oh, this child is having a tough time in just about all of his classes, we set the round table. And we sit down with you and try to figure out what's going on and how we can help the child, your student. Does that make sense? It's a wonderful system. I think anybody that's been on the opposite end of it will say nothing but good things to you. Yes, sometimes it's the middle school going home, we have 900 kids in the middle school. So that's quite a switch. But I'll be honest with you, our kids do wonderfully in that transition between middle school to high school. They do great. What they don't realize, what junior high kids don't realize, is that everybody's afraid. It's scary to go to high school. I don't care where you go or where you come from, it's scary. Do kids talk about it? Heck no. They don't want to talk about it. That's a weakness. Why would they tell you? So the nerves are a thing that, is going to happen to all of them. The transition is fine. They do really well. Many of our kids, when they leave here, go into honors biology, which in my day and your day, it was a sophomore class. Our kids go into it as freshmen. Pretty honor. We have kids that go into geometry as freshmen. We have kids that go into algebra honors as freshmen. We're doing a good job. So if you feel that we're not doing a good job and you want to talk to us about it, let's talk. So that we can get to the bottom of why you don't feel that we're doing a good job. I live in La La Land. I think everything's perfect until somebody brings me down to earth. And then I'm grumpy for a week. And since I live alone, I just take it out of my dog. And he's used to it. So, but really, if you have problems with anybody, our protocol here is you go to the teacher first. I'm not in the classroom. I don't know what's going on. If you don't get satisfaction with the teacher, then you come to me. And then we'll figure out how we can satisfy the needs or whatever the issue is. Or if we need to do a roundtable, we can swing into that pretty quickly. But going back to my original statement, it's all about independence. You have to let your child go. Let them fail if that's what it means. I promise you they're not going to fail very often. None of these folks will berate them or yell at them or anything like that if they don't understand something. And once they get over the initial of asking, we're good to go. But they have to assert themselves. And we have to help them do that. They have to feel comfortable. It's a skill you need in life. I mean, it's pretty scary going to talk to Father Chuck. I'm not going to lie about that. But I've learned that I need to approach things that I don't agree with, or even that I do agree with. He's my boss. So anywhere you look, you're going to have that skill. And we start very early with this. 6th graders start very early. And I think that kids are kids. It doesn't matter that we're here in this building. These kids are still kids. We still have issues. We handle it differently than a public school, but I'm not gonna say we don't. We have issues here too, as the 7th graders know. 7th grade parents, 8th grade parents know. And we work through them as a group if we have to. But our perspective is different. It's about tolerance and kindness and compassion. And we don't believe in passing somebody on. Because your child sits in her class and he or she is quiet and they do their work, doesn't mean, okay, well, we're just going to pass them. That's not what that means. We are an individual school. We get to know all of our kids. Me too. I work with the junior high too. So we take that type of responsibility very seriously. So again, our purpose is independence. And that covers a lot. We expect the kids to be respectful. When I taught, that was my only classroom rule. I put the word up there and I said, this is what you have to follow. If you think about it and you narrow it down, everything falls under the category of respect. You respect your teachers, you respect each other, you respect the property, you respect whatever. Everything can be narrowed down to that word. For the folks that are not here, this is how important I think this is. We're videotaping it, and they will get a copy of the video, and hopefully that they will listen and hear what we're saying. Because I don't want it to be a parent to parent. I want them to hear what we're saying in the flesh. Not that I don't think you relay information correctly, but it's serious enough that we're doing it this way this year. And as long as I'm here, we're going to continue to do that. So the next subject I'm going to talk about is this handle. You might notice my little stickies. There are a couple of areas that I'd like you to look over. My first sticky is on page 17. If your student is sick, is it your job to email the teacher and ask for homework? No, it is not. It's your son or your daughter's job, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. They need to either ask the teacher for the homework, email the teacher because they have the teacher's emails, and ask them to give the homework. Can you step in? Well, sure, you can step in, but first, you're going to let them try to get whatever assignments they missed. It's not up to you. Love you though we do, it's really not up to you. My second. Is page 18. You can stop me with questions anytime. I go on a roll, so if you have questions, just stop me and ask. It is a requirement at St. Teresa of Avila Catholic School that our students go to Mass with their classmates every other Thursday. That's a requirement. It's not a time, and I'm speaking bluntly, it's not a time to make a dentist appointment. It's not a time to, oh, Mom, I have tummy ache, and then, oops, miracles, they feel better at 9:30. They need to come to Mass with us. We're celebrating the fact that we're Catholic. And actually, Catholic is a ecclesiastical word. It's all-encompassing. We're all Christian. We all believe in God, hopefully. So that's a really important point that I want to make. Yes, we do have kids and parents that don't follow that. I'm hoping that's not true this year. If you do, I will be calling you and saying, hey, look in the handbook. Mass is a required attendance. Page 20. Yes.
Is it going to be after church?
Yes.
So we just communicate with the teachers, so if I take it away from them, so that way
You can take it away. We have phones in every room.
you wanted to,
I would rather nobody brought anyone to school, but that's the way of the future. So, that's where they go. And I need you to emphasize the truth factor. You know, if I hear that you didn't turn your cell phone into the classroom, there are even a lot of schools that are doing this, even in high schools. You just put them in a basket by the door and pick them up as they go. For those high schools, the biggest thing is cheating. We've had incidences of that. But they don't need to be communicating with anybody other than us. Another question we get asked is, what about emergencies? If there's an emergency, you will hear from us. This is a pretty closed campus. If we need to get a hold of you, we will. If you need to get a hold of your child, you don't need to call or text, just call the office. We'll get the child there for you. Any type of emergency, you'll get a text or a phone call. Don't worry about that piece. Yeah. It's the teacher will be on it. So yes, we're taking a big responsibility. Your cell phones will be safe with us, right guys? We talked about this at length. going to be really interesting too. Dr. Pulsifer had, was it your daughter? Or that,
Oh, my stepdaughter was the daughter teacher's license. She was substituting in Reno, and the student was texting in class, and she told him, put the phone away. He said, no, it's my mom. I can text her. And she said, okay, give me the phone. And she texted her mom that she took the phone away because he was texting in class. So this is a widespread problem, and I will touch. I know you guys said on the pouches. They're set up so each phone has an individual pouch. They're not like all in one big jumble. So we can keep track of each separately.
and they have a number. So your child, the cell phone will also have a number. So we know whose pouch is whose. I can think of no other way to solve the problem. So we took some examples from other high schools and middle schools around the United States, actually, and this is the system we've come up with, and we're going to try it, yes.
I would like to just mention that, because I'd like to make that information.
That's also in here, in an added line or two. If when your kids get out of the car in the morning, they need to know where they're going. If they're going to ASP, if they're walking home, whatever, they need to know. If you have a change in your plans, call the office, but we don't want you to call every single day. The kids need to know where they're going. Mason, I'm sorry, could you?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Sorry.
No, you're totally fine.
Okay, I don't want to embarrass you, sorry.
No.
So, where was I? Oh, yeah. So, the office is still there, the phone is still there. If you need to call, let us know. But you'd be surprised during a school day how many phone calls we get about where kids are going. We have work we have to do too. Shannon and Lisa have work that they have to finish. So I'm not saying you can never call, but make sure when you call, it's a big deal. Otherwise, your kids should know where they're going. And the truth of the matter is, even if they don't, if they're out here at 3:15, we gather them and bring them to ASP. It's okay if they don't know. They're safe, they're here, and you'll know where to come and pick them up. Right? Okay. Rather than go through the dress code, so page 29, nothing's really changed except there's a few, I think there's a few things that you need to be aware of. So pants and shorts may not be tight. The ugly twill straight leg stovetop pants are what we want. We don't need to see an outline of your child's butt. We don't need to see when they sit down the color of their underwear. It's not conducive to a learning environment, and certainly not in a Catholic school. So those stovetop pants, leggings, volleyball, what are those called? The volleyball shorts that are so tight, that's not what you wear on a free dress day. That's what you wear under your uniform. On a free dress day, you need to follow the dress code and dress appropriately. Do I think that we have to do, like in the 60s, the Bermuda pants? Well, I did it first, but I got shut down by the teachers. So just follow what the handbook says as far as dress code. If you're concerned, call the office. I would rather not have, and in middle school, they get a couple warnings and then they get a detention for not having a belt, for nail polish, socks. Socks are the big ones. Do you think we like spending our day worrying about somebody's socks? Come on. You can help us make sure socks come up over the ankle. You could ask me, which I'm sure some of you are thinking, what's the point of this type of a strong uniform system? Okay, it's about discipline. Not discipline, we're cracking the whip. It's about the discipline and kids being disciplined enough to know that this is what the rule is and this is what I'm going to do to follow it. Public schools have dress codes too. You'll get a call if your kid's out of dress code. white, black, gray, green, whatever. That's the colors. I get that they're cold. The really good idea is to buy a jacket. Or a long sleeve shirt. Bancroft sells long sleeve shirts, so go with that. But we don't need that the first day of school. If it continues this way, we're going to be dying anyway in the 90-degree heat. But let's be aware of all this before you get a note from me that the Under Armour was the wrong color.
Yeah, the Under Armour, the leggings though, you don't wear under a regular, you wear those under
Right.
or skirts.
Or
but
skirts.
Not under.
No. If you're choosing to wear shorts, and we've let that go, I've allowed the kids to wear shorts year-round if they want to, but you have an alternative with that. They can wear pants. You actually have an alternative too for PE. They can wear the sweats. I let that one slide. So if we see this, you'll be getting a call from me or a note. I would rather not have to do that, but it is what it is. For 6th grade parents especially, on page 35, in order to play sports, there's an eligibility requirement in junior high. It's clearly stated if a student has submitted a dishonest assignment through cheating, lying, plagiarizing, or stealing, the teacher may assign an F or a 0 as a form of disciplinary action. Students who willfully offer their completed work for another student to copy may also receive an F or a 0 on the assignment. Ignorance of this rule is not a basis for waiving the designated consequence. They've learned what plagiarism is, or copying and cheating, from 1st grade. Do they know that it's called plagiarizing? No. But with the access of the internet, it's very easy to cut and paste. And that's just the world we live in now. And I don't think the kids realize, but Miss Silsby teaches writing. Do you think she doesn't know how your kids write? It takes her a week. And she knows how they write. So we don't need some type of a program to figure out who's using the internet or who's copying. All we have to do is look at their writing. And she's very good at that. So as far as not knowing what plagiarism is, the kids are taught what it is, and they are really taught how to cite, C-I-T-E, how you cite sources. So when they go to high school, they have the knowledge, and they know that they're not going to get away with this. And then on page 37, there's our grading standards. Last but not least, 38, there's the homework. It says 6th through 8th grade has an hour per day. That does not count long-term assignments. So if they get an assignment that they have 2 weeks to complete, they have to understand they have to do a little bit every day. If they wait till the end, it's going to be longer than an hour that they're going to have homework. So that's another thing they have to learn, how to prioritize. That's a hard sell for some kids. The last-minute Sues and procrastinators. That's it. Any questions on that? I know it's not the easiest reading, but it would be a good idea if you would just take a gander through there. I also want to remind you that Miss Tran is highly allergic to peanuts. So what we did this last year, we blocked off this hallway. The kids could not walk through with peanuts. They couldn't open their snacks. So this will be something new for 6th grade. Yes. And latex. No balloons. You can bring in Mylar balloons, but no latex. She makes sure that the kids have to wash their hands before they go in her classroom. Would you like to speak?
Hi, so I'm Miss Tran. I actually have a really severe allergy. I'm airborne anaphylactic. So we ask that your kids don't bring any peanut or peanut products in their snacks or lunches because what happens if it's on their
What's missing? Where's this? We're not going to dig through your backpack to try to find the papers that they've completed but didn't turn in. That's on them. So this is a big deal. It's a big deal, and it's a wonderful tool that we have here. If you, 7th and 8th graders, if you haven't used it, please start using it. Because you'll know daily how your children are doing.
Were you saying kids need to go there also to check what he's doing stuff or?
I'll talk a little bit about, this goes back to the independence that we're trying to help students build. On the first day, students are going to be given a planner. All 6th through 8th grade will have a planner. I know the 5th graders coming up that are now 6th graders, they're used to filling in their planner. It is a beneficial tool. Some students are more diligent about using their planners than other students. But as a middle school, those kids are trying to coordinate with multiple teachers. Sometimes they are really good about writing their homework in one class, but maybe not so much in another class. So we, as a middle school team, for the last couple of years, have started to post homework assignments. Not in classwork, but homework for students. So you as a parent, if you're also trying to help your child stay on track, you can log into RenWeb to see what their homework assignment happens to be. So I'm using my daughter as an example here. Once you have logged in, this is the page that you come to. And what you'll want to click on is the student information. So Mr. Russell has already clicked on that. And if you look there, there's all these different places. And now oftentimes we go in here to order lunches. I know I do for my student. So I can see this is where I would have normally gone. But if you click on the homework link right here, and you won't see anything for this week, but we'll go over to next week, and we put in a couple of sample things here so that you can see what this will look like when you log in. So you can see here for literature, welcome back. Each class is going to have their own classroom policy, their own grading information that's going to be provided to you. Because again, we all kind of do a little something different, even though we're all part of the middle school team. So you can probably expect something to come home in each of those classes. You can see here that Dr. Pulsifer has added in something for science. Summer AR reading points, if kids haven't taken those, that will be due on Tuesday. And then you can also see that there was another example for science. So you as a parent can kind of get a glimpse at what is coming. Generally, we try to post, by the end of the day, homework assignments on here. If students don't finish something in class, that isn't necessarily going to be posted on Ren.
Fourth and fifth went to Dr. Pulsford. And now they have a different teacher for every subject. Different expectations, different ways of teaching, different homework. So again, these sixth graders are stepping into the real world of different expectations with teachers. So this is a great way to track what they are doing and what they are missing.
I would slogan and everything that we use for that will remain the same, it's not changing.
It should remain the same.
Okay.
This is the same one that I've used in the past as well, so I did
Well,
not.
I used it earlier to do hot lunch, but
When your children are absent, or if you're going on a trip, whatever you're doing, I have to tell you though, that it's not about makeup work. It's about actual teaching time. You can't make up a discussion on the Constitution in Mr. Russell's class. You can never make that up. They have fabulous current events and those types of discussion in that. You can never make that up. So when they're absent, sure, you can turn in their work, but you're missing the most important thing that the kids experience, and that's the actual teaching. That doesn't mean I want you to send your kids in sick, though.
Were there any other questions about Red Web before we go on?
What I'm going to talk about with RenWeb is something, again, the 7th and 8th grade parents should be aware of this, but for those of you coming into 6th, a few years ago we changed the way we report to you how the conduct of your child has been that week. We used to send home those papers and each teacher would, put like an E or a G or something like that in there. And then parents were supposed to sign it. We found those not coming in. That was just a problem. So what we do now is we have a spot on the RenWeb grade book. So when you go to check your child's grade of any assignments they had that week, on Friday afternoon, I put a subject, a category of grade called conduct. Everybody has something like that. And it's a 3-point scale. And ideally, 99.9% of the time, all the kids have 3s, for each of their subjects. If they've been good, they've been on task that week, they haven't been, having to be corrected or, redirected to, get off the website they shouldn't have been on, those kinds of things, they're going to get the 3s. A 2 would indicate, we might have had one little hiccup this week or something. They weren't perfect, but, they weren't terrible either. A 1, you got a problem. And especially if it shows up more than, once. You got, maybe 2 or 3 weeks in a row where a 1 is coming in there. It might be just in one class. It might be, we might all be seeing it. So every subject, or every teacher, I shouldn't say every subject, but every teacher will have a conduct portion of their grading, right alongside the kids' tests or homework or projects or any of that kind of thing. So again, if something is really, by the time, if we're looking at 2 or 3 weeks of 1s, you might have been contacted already, okay? But it is a way for us to let you know, just on a weekly basis where they're at, what kind of week they have. Again, those would go up on Fridays. I always put it just like, whatever the day of the week is as far as the number of day, week ending, 8/25 or something, and then there'll be a 3. So again, if you have any problems or questions on how that is or why did they get a 1 that week? Let us know. You can email us and we can respond on that. Any questions on, yes?
Well, not specific specific, but what should we expect a response rate for email? If we email you on a Tuesday morning,
You've got to, for me, you're going to have a response by as soon as I see it.
well, what is that?
Which, well, that could be, I mean, that's going to be real soon, because I'm checking my emails all the time. You'll get it that day. If you do something late in the day, and maybe I've already gone for the day or something, well, then, yeah, you'll probably get that response the next day. Because sometimes if you pick the child up and something comes out at home in the evening, well, yeah, I'm not checking, I don't usually check my school email unless I'm here, so I'll get that the next morning.
So is that pretty standard within the day that you get back to us? Okay.
Yeah, like I say, yeah, and I have all of my history classes by lunch, okay? So if there would be something that would need to be, if there's an email or something, I'm going to see that at lunchtime. And then I usually have my computer classes in the afternoon for the lower grades. So I'm going to have some time to be able to do that. Any other questions on the conduct stuff? Okay.
Before we start to talk about content, I appreciate everybody who had come up and signed in. However, my little yellow boxes for our main room parents, they're all empty. So I'm going to pass this around. We do need them to be filled in, and if it's more than one parent, that's fine. If you just want to help volunteer and provide things, I mean, generally middle school, we don't do a ton of stuff. We have an ice skating party. That's always a fun thing. Good for that. But generally speaking, it's not like too much. So I'm just going to pass this around. If you can, great. If you can't, then just keep it going. I'll pass the pen along with it. We're going to go ahead and start talking a little bit about the content. Mrs. Schwedhelm, she is our religion teacher. Unfortunately, she could not be here this evening, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about religion. Here at St. Teresa's School, we do take religion seriously because we're a Catholic school. So it is a subject, and we want your students to be taking it seriously as well. In middle school, this is something new for 6th grade parents, although I had talked a little bit about it with the 5th graders at the end of last year. Service hours are something that middle schoolers do. In 6th grade, middle schoolers need 3 hours per quarter. In 7th grade, it bumps up to 4 hours per quarter, and then for 8th grade, it is 6 hours per quarter. There's various ways that students can provide service. One thing that has changed a little bit about our service program, I know that there were some students that had taken advantage of the fact that they could volunteer at the preschool. Unfortunately, we won't be able to do that. In 6th through 8th grade, generally once a year for each of those classes, we provide the dinner for Circles, the Circles community dinner. I know that in 5th grade they did that last year as well. We will do that. We try to get out or plan activities as they arise. It just depends. Each year is a little bit different how those service activities play out. So I know Ms. Schwedhelm has a couple of different ideas that she's already mentioned to Ms. Berger, and we're going to see if we can maybe come to fruition. So those opportunities will certainly be provided to those students. So were there any other questions about the religion curriculum? Alter survey?
Let's not. Well, no, because Josie's already wrapped it up. We thought it was a half an hour.
No. I don't know what it is. Father Chuck's philosophy on that is that if you are serving Mass, you're serving Mass. If you wanted to do something that's a service hour, you have to come to another Mass.
So if you substitute for someone that doesn't happen to show up, you attend mass and then Josie serves at another mass.
Right.
Oh, I see.
You have to go
Oh,
to
it's
mass.
your weekly mass. But that's not what it says on the piece of paper you got.
That's,
So you might get a lot of us going, hey, we didn't understand.
I thought it was a half hour because it's before and after the mass.
It says on the piece of paper they get a half hour.
okay, I'm fine with that.
When Maddie explains it, you can help them have this ready.
Okay,
And then you address
that
it.
makes sense, yeah. Okay, that's good.
Okay, so we're okay. So the piece of paper is correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if that's what it says, it's correct. We can help you.
So this step up is going to have last year for fifth going into sixth. Talk about service hours, so we could bring kids to about it. He said that half hour was counted. So they got a take-home piece of paper that was for them to fill out so they can do service hours over the summer. It was written on there as well. So that's how we do that.
Okay.
Were there any other questions regarding service hours? Yes.
All right.
Also, our religion textbooks this year are ebooks, so they're online and once ebook coming home. So far we have science, social studies, and religion. On literature and ELA.
Is there like a list of what's acceptable for volunteer hours?
I'm pretty lenient.
Like,
You can't get, I'll tell you this, you can't get paid. So if they're helping your father do something or your mother, they can't give them any money, and they can use that as a service.
Well, on the piece of paper it says it can't be.
It shouldn't be for
I hear that.
I mean, okay, I think what it comes down to is like your immediate family, let's say you have an older child that's babysitting your younger child. That's
Yeah, but we had
a little bit different.
We had a family though that was moving, their grandparents were moving, and the kids worked like dogs for 6 or 7 hours. I counted that. Now, I'm taking the parents' word for that actually happened, but that has to count. I don't care if it's family or not. Yes.
So, for example, this is in a leadership class for her karate. She donates time to your academy. Does that count?
Yes, they would have to sign it.
Okay.
We have forms.
Or, you know, they help do scorekeeping, or if they help referee, you know, lower kids soccer game. I mean, all of those things, if it's for, even though there might be a sibling on that team, they can certainly count that because it's helping a larger part of the community. All right, I'm going to go ahead and jump into ELA. The English Language Arts encompasses actually it's more four-specific areas. We have literature, language, spelling and vocabulary, and speaking and listening. So literature, generally, in my class, we do have ebooks. I have the hard book here for you guys to peruse through if you would like to, that we use for smaller short story selections when we're looking at developing an understanding of characterization or plot, a specific thing. And then we also have novels. So on your pages, I'm not going to go into too much depth, and if you would like to talk with me afterwards, we can certainly do that. If you want to grammar in all of the grades. It's a spiral, so students' concepts they're building upon one another. Same with vocabulary. Vocabulary development, that improves a lot of things. It improves students' writing, it improves their understanding of what they're reading, so that is also another element. We'll have in terms of their writing, we generally like to focus on narratives, persuasive, expository texts, and I'm forgetting one. I know that there's one more, but those are the three that I can think of right off the top of my head. My Access is used, a lot of the times I use that in terms of developing students' narrative writing. Students will participate in research, and again, in middle school, there's a lot of subjects, so it's easy for students to say, well, I'm doing reading in these other subjects. They should be independently reading and applying those strategies every single day, 20 to 30 minutes, or at least 2 hours per week. Students that do not independently read will not have the same type of growth as students who do read every single day. Because a majority, 90% of a student's vocabulary acquisition comes from actually reading. So while I have direct instruction, a lot of the vocabulary that comes from the series that we have here, the books, we're actually reading from those books as well. So it's being pulled, the vocabulary is being pulled from actual pieces of literature. So it's really important. It's 15% of your child's grade. So if your child has not read anything and they come up to the end of the quarter and they're trying to take 5 tests on books that they've partially read and they don't get those points, that will affect their grade. And you won't know that until the end of the quarter, because I don't calculate that until the end of the quarter. So please don't let your student fall behind. If they're reading 20 to 30 minutes per night, a 150-page book, they should be able to finish that in a week and a half, 2 weeks, tops. Based on and it doesn't matter even about the reading rate. I've taught long enough now to know that 20 to 30 minutes, you should be able to get through a book every 2 to 3 weeks. If they're longer, of course, it's going to take more time. So I know those students that like those big challenge books that are 400 or 500 pages, of course, it's going to take them possibly a whole quarter, and that's okay. Yes? Audiobooks, if your child is listening to a book, I want them to also have a couple of, week or two to determine a child's sense of writing. And it's very apparent if it's not theirs. Because it's just like, if I was to come in with a leather jacket and tattoos, everybody would be like, this is Sylvie, that doesn't look like you. No, it doesn't. So it's similar in that way. So just keep that in mind. I know, maybe I should. That might make a try home a point, I don't know. This year I am going to be teaching art. Mid-year, I know that the 6th through 8th grade didn't have the opportunity to do the art in action all year long like the rest of the school. This year we're starting from the beginning of the school year. So I'm really excited to have that as part of our curriculum. Fine art, and studies have shown when you're developing the right side of the brain, it helps with a multitude of other things. So I will take that as a subject. So each week when we do have art, students have the opportunity to earn up to 10 points per week. So even though it's not like a grade as in another subject, I want students to be applying what they're learning, making sure that they're on task, using the materials appropriately, because it's an excellent program, and it's nice because it's a very cross-curricular. 6th grade, they're looking at a lot of ancient art, so looking at mummies and Greek civilization, and it goes right along with what Ms. Russell is studying. 7th grade, we're looking at the Renaissance, and 8th grade will be American art. So it should be fun. I'm excited. With that, I'm going to go ahead and pass this on over to Dr. Pulsipher, and he'll talk a little bit about science.
All right, so for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Pulsipher. I'm a science teacher. And I think I'm going to be saying a lot of what you've heard already, just reiterating that RandWeb is your friend. RandWeb. And the reason for that is with 60 students, it's not that we can't or don't know who's struggling and who's not, but keeping track of who was absent which day, how long they were absent, it's difficult because as me, I don't have a homeroom, so I don't even take it. I don't take it. So I have to I keep track of it, but it gets difficult. So you guys helping me by tracking RandWeb, seeing if your students missing anything, is very important. And the other side of that is what you consider the time to panic, what I consider the time to panic might be two different things. If your students get a C in my class, I'm not going to be too concerned about it. That's fairly normal for kids this age to maybe get in that grade range. But that might be, for you, the time to panic. So if you see that they're getting a C, you need to call me and say, we need to talk about this, okay? Or whatever grade it might be. If they've gotten 9800s for 3/4 and are getting A's last year, I will know to contact you. But if they come in and they're getting 80s, 85s, I'm not going to be panicked about it. I mean, try to keep them working harder and getting more. But if that's where you think it's panic time, then you need to be on top of that and realize it so we can communicate back to me. So that's my skill on RandWeb is we need to work together. That's why it's there, so we can have this back and forth. And you know what the students are doing, I know what the students are doing, and it just makes it a lot easier, a lot less misunderstandings. Then when you get the report card and you just see, you're like, how'd you let my child get a C, right? So if you know that 3 weeks in, 4 weeks in, and you want to work on it, you can. For me, I think the other thing I'm going to reiterate is I have high expectations. For those of you who are going to 6th grade, I had those students last year, there are a bunch of students, but the expectations are going to be much higher in 6th grade than they were in 5th. The curriculum's harder. Tests are harder, the homework's harder, everything is more difficult. And that's a natural progression. And then as they go up to the 7th, they get even harder. So I do have high expectations, and I have those expectations because I think the students need them. And some of them will stumble a little as they adjust, and that's okay, we'll get them through it. We'll get them going. And we also try to make science fun, of course. So just be aware that, especially if you're moving from 5th to they need to be proactive about getting in and not only find out what they missed, but getting the explanation to what needs to be done. It's been pointed out that I saw other students having difficulty with those types of things. So now I'll just go over now for a minute the books and the subjects. So sixth graders are Earth and Space Science. This is what their textbook looks like. So they have an electronic textbook. I have a classroom. Seventh graders, Life Science, McGraw-Hill, they're all the same series. And eighth graders are Physical Science. So I have a set of about 20 books in the classroom, hard copies that they can use during class if they want. They all have electronic copies. The books don't go home, the hard covers, unless there's a special circumstance and it's approved by Ms. Berger. Because we only have the 20 hard copies. I can't have 6 of them out of class when students need them in class. So unless it's a special, there were a couple things last year, special needs, where we approved them going home, but for the most part, we want books to stay in the classroom. As long as you have internet at home, they can read on their books. There's much more features in the e-books. And be able to analyze what they're seeing. You know, is this person, this group that's saying the Earth is going to be overheated in 10 years, are they giving you true data? Is this group that says, no, global warming is completely false and you're all crazy, are they giving you true data? So they can look at not only what's going on in science, but understand how to work or see the data. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing with that extra Friday afternoon science class. That's about it. So do you have any questions about science? Oh, wait, one more thing, our field trips that we didn't have. The sixth grade science camp will be gone September 25th to the 29th, so the last week of September. So that's coming up quickly. I will have something out to you by the end of the first week of school. Make sure we're all on top of that, but just be aware, that's like in a month. So, and then the Catalina trip is the second week of April, I guess we do the night of the 8th, we'll be back the 13th of April. It's the week after spring break. So I'll have everything ready to go before spring break because we're not going to be planning for spring break. Oh, a couple other things I want to talk about. As far as my late work, students do have late work. I take late work. There is a penalty for it. But I have a firm cutoff, a week before the end of the quarter. I won't continue late work after that. So I don't want students coming to me 2 days before the end of the quarter saying, I have all this stuff handy and I can't take it. I have to have time to grade it, get it graded up. So a week before the end of the quarter, that's when I'm on staking points. And as far as classroom behavior, again, I use the conduct system on RenWeb, like Mr. Russell explained. This year I'm going to be using the check system in class just to make it a little more objective. If I'm having problems with it, I'm going to get a check. If you have problems with them, you get another check. I did it with the sixth graders last year. I liked it. It'll be spelled out in the policies. What that means, basically, as long as it's only 1 or 2 checks, it's not a big deal. After that, they start losing contact points and start getting to spend lunch recess with me. So, but I'm doing that just to make it a little more of a objective way of looking at this. Any other questions?
So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Rick Russell. I teach history, social studies for the 6th, 7th grade. And then, of course, I've had all the kids for computers. In fact, the group it's the 6th graders this year. They were my first kindergarten group. And so I've been looking forward to seeing them in social studies every day. let's talk about sixth grade. The focus of sixth grade social studies is world history. As was mentioned, as Bonnie mentioned, we read ancient civilizations, starting off with the very early, hunter-gatherers, getting into ancient Mesopotamia, Egypt, Greece, Rome, kind of work our way up the timeline. And another thing we do, 1 or sometimes 2 days a week, will be geography for the sixth graders. I did that last year with last year's sixth graders, and we're going to do that again this year. We're going to do geography for the first 2 quarters. Ms. Berger has also asked me to do music for the sixth graders. I do a history of rock and roll and pop music, and she's asked me to do that for for third and fourth quarter, because they will continue that into 7th grade and 8th grade. We do, even for 7th grade, we do that 1 day a week. So, and then of course there's computers. What they're going to find, what the 6th graders are going to find, it's going to be very different in 6th grade computers compared to what was 5th. When even going back down to even 2nd grade, 3rd, 4th, 5th, they'll tell you it's a lot of keyboard practice, a lot of typing, using both hands, getting everything the way it's supposed to be. By 6th grade, I don't do as much of that. And I really don't do a whole lot of that with 7th and 8th. What I'm doing with those 3 grades with computers, I'm integrating computer skills in with a lot of social studies stuff. So a lot of the projects that we might do, computer-based, that's going to be done during what would be our computer time. Some of the geography stuff might occur during that time. They will continue to get a computer grade, just like they have in the past. And that grading, it's basically a behavior and participation grade, as you see all the way up the line. It's 10 points all or nothing. If they are attending to what they're supposed to be doing, they've got points. They have the A at the end of the quarter. That's an easy A.
Can you talk about what happens if they misuse?
Oh, we can talk about that. Yeah, that has come up. Being in the room I'm in, they've got those screens right between me and you, There's those computer monitors are right in front of them. And oftentimes the temptation is to be playing with the mouse. You've got something going on the screen. You might be on a website you're not supposed to be on. Maybe you're supposed to be on a site, but maybe you've got 2 windows opened up. So when I'm walking around, they're going to go to the window they need to be, but then when I go away, they got the slither game going on. Okay? What we've had to start doing is, I bring that to Ms. Berger's attention, and she pulls computers from the kids. They don't get to use the computers for their work. That's going to be really difficult, and it's a pain, but it hurts, because we use Google Classroom for almost everything. I'm not sure if our incoming 6th graders use Google Classroom very much as 5th graders. I'm going to find out real soon, next week. But all of my assignments are up on that. I'm basically paperless when it comes to my daily work. 7th and 8th are very familiar with it, and that just won't be a problem for them. Nothing changes for them. But the only place where we really have any paper is, another one of the things I do is current events. We do a Junior Scholastic once every couple of weeks. It's a pretty big magazine, and there's usually, it, oh yeah, then they're usually 20 or 30 point assignments. And, you know, if you're not going to read it, you're not going to get the question right. That's just a fact. So I'm going to have to highly stress, especially the sixth graders coming in, read those magazines. There's a lot of your points in there. As for other homework, they don't get much. We're using for sixth grade, as I said, it's world history. We're using this book here. And it's basically it's not a very deep examination of a lot of these cultures. That's just the way sixth grade is. It's a lot of cultures that we look at, a lot of civilizations. But I usually kind of make the comment that it's like an inch deep, but a mile wide. And we cover a lot of things, but it's not all that deep. Unlike 7th and 8th, where we're kind of focused on the American history, and it's really deep. So for those of you with 7th grade students, we're coming in and we're going to spend a little time looking at the American events leading up to the Revolution. But then we get into the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. I will spend weeks on those. By the time the kids are done with it, they know that Constitution and Bill of Rights extremely well. It's deep. It's very deep. And then in 7th grade, we finish off the year kind of moving up towards the Civil War. 8th grade, we come in, we kind of pick up where we left off in 7th grade. And then we take it as far into the modern history as possible. And for that book, 7th and 8th pretty much use this. Now, for those of you that are 7th grade parents that used the other one last year, we have a class set of that. And there were a few of you that you were able to take a book home to have at the house. We don't have extra copies of that book. So that, that book, I've only got just a couple. We don't have enough for people to take home. So what I recommend is maybe if you really, really want that book at home, that book we use in 7th and 8th, you probably have to go to Amazon and try to find it. That's what I would recommend. The other book, again, we don't want these leaving the school either. I've got, like Dr. Polster said, I've got a class set of these. But unless it's a special circumstance with Ms. Berger's approval, these don't leave the school. So, but if they had to be, I got a few that need to be there. Okay. Projects, things like that. For 6th grade, it is a lot of the work from the textbook, but we have projects as well. They're going to start off the year with a civilizations project. I've already got the group set up for that. That's going to be a big project, but it's going to take at least the whole quarter. But we will spend a little bit of time on it every week, not a ton of time, but a little bit until it's done. And it's a fun project. The kids like that. Later on in the year, as part of geography, they will do what's called the Caravans Project. Again, they work in teams. It's a lot of fun. They investigate countries. They give presentations on these countries. And they earn what are called travel dots to get treasure to try to beat everybody else. It's very, very competitive. 8th graders, this is the year they'll be doing their Chautauqua presentations. I do that along with Mrs. Silsby. Right after the Christmas vacation, we'll start thinking about who they might want to be. And then, we'll spend some history time researching that character. Everybody has their own character. And then after we've, compiled quite a lot of information, Mrs. Silby kind of takes over at that point and works with them to develop, their presentation aspect of things. And in the last couple of weeks of school, they present that. Okay, I've done all the chattering up here. Any questions? Well, okay, yes.
Do we participate in the National Geographic Geography Week?
No, we don't do that. We do have that. What's that?
Is there an option, like if our kid wanted to do it, is there a way for us to join other schools to do that?
I have no idea. We used to do that here.
Chris?
Yeah, he went down to Vegas.
He did? Yeah, it's true. I guess he did. We haven't done that in the last couple of years. What we do have, though, that I should mention to the 6th grade is National Junior Honor Society. We've got that. And most of the kids who go into that every year are new 6th graders. Because any 7th and 8th graders, if they've qualified, they're already in. We may have to reassess. I can think of at least one incoming seventh grader that you'll probably have to look at now. This person didn't make it, based on the grades the first part of the year last year, but I think is eligible now. So we can reassess older kids. But generally, they're sixth graders coming in because that's their first shot at it, and I expect many of these incoming sixth graders to be able to qualify for that. Grade-wise, we're looking at a 3.5 or better for the first 2 quarters of the school year. And then there are other aspects of it regarding, citizenship, those types of things, service, and there's like 5 aspects of it. But what gets you in the door to begin with to even be considered would be the grade point. So I'll be talking to the sixth graders about that as well. Yeah.
Did I miss the seventh grade social study project?
That is what okay, there's a couple of things we do with that. There is we do some book stuff. There's a website that I like to use called mixbook.com. And for example, one of the things that I would have them do might be they're going to research a historical character. I've done Andrew Jackson in the past. And then I set down the parameters of what kinds of things need to be covered. They use Mixbook to actually create a book. If they really wanted to, they could pay like $15 in Mixbook and send them a hard copy of it. Now, I don't do that, but those kinds of things. So there are projects related to the early part of U.S. history that we do with this. So,
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions on anything social studies related? We have, for the 8th graders, we do have the DC trip coming up in April as well. The week after Dr. Pulsberger is back from Catalina, 8th graders will be going too, so that's something we can look forward to there. And it appears that I'm going to that again this year. I thought last year was going to be my last year, but I had several of what are now the 8th graders come and make they pleaded the case that they wanted me to go, so I'm going to go. So I think I have one more left in me, but I'm kind of getting old for that. So. All right, any other final questions?
Okay, so it's me again, Ms. Tran. So I teach math, and unlike your other subjects, I'm not old, I'm just age challenged, and so I have actual books that will go home with your child for math. I don't do the e-book, so they'll actually have a hard physical copy that will go home. Okay, for 6th grade, we use the middle school math. 7th graders will we don't have a book for math. So not true. They do. Also, homework-wise, I do post to RenWeb. In math, we generally have homework every single night except for Fridays. I try to not give them homework over the weekend. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, be prepared for them to have homework in math class. Okay? Questions over math before I jump into Spanish? I know we're trying to get you out of here on time. Go to Spanish? All right. So, I also teach Spanish. I know, I am so blessed. I got the best subjects ever. So for 6th grade, we use Converso Mucho. They are going to actually have a hard physical copy as well. I have enough for the whole 6th grade class where this will be able to go home with them at night. Again, they need to be responsible and bring it to class the next day. Along with that, they'll get, it's a binder, but their whole workbook is in here. Okay, so we'll be doing activities out of here, along with out of the book, along with conversational. We'll just be mixing it all up so that way they're not just having conversational Spanish, but they're learning to read and write as well. Okay? I generally, for 6th grade, don't give homework in Spanish. That normally does not start until 7th grade. I find that they're trying to kind of get into the swing of things with middle school, so I try not to give Spanish homework in 6th grade. Questions over 6th grade Spanish? All right, moving along. Okay, 7th and 8th graders, I took over mid-year last year. So 7th and 8th graders are using the same book this year. They're in different places. 7th grade will be starting while 8th grade is in the middle. Due to that, I don't have a hard copy for every single student to take home, so these will stay in my class. Okay, if they have homework, it will be either out of the workbook. Okay, I'm still waiting for a few to get in, but students will be getting workbooks, or I will have to print a hard copy of like a worksheet for them to have for homework right now, because they won't be able to take the actual book home. Okay, so RenWeb is your friend. I post all my assignments in there. If you, those of you that know me, you know I'm OCD, my grades get posted very quickly because I can't handle the piles of homework stacking up. So grades will be in there, homework will be in there. I also want to let you know I am here in the mornings. I get here early. I like mornings. So if your child does need help on anything, please have them come in, and I'm more than willing to help them in either math or Spanish in the morning. Okay, just know it's a mixture of all grade levels. I don't have like where one day's just 6 and one day's just 7. They come in as needed when they'd like to come in, and they need and all of those things. Any other questions for me before I turn over my throne here? No? Okay.
Okay, I'll make this really quick. My name is Carmen. I'm a PE teacher here, and I coach cross-country, track, and field. We have a lot of sports here that your middle schoolers can get involved in. We have cross-country, co-ed volleyball, and girls basketball in the first semester, and then the second semester we have boys basketball and track and field in the spring. So there's lots for them to get involved in, and I highly encourage it. We're going to be starting sign-ups. I'm going to be sending something out tomorrow for the girls volleyball, or the co-ed volleyball, and for cross-country. We're going to start running right away, so next week we'll be running Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Most of the cross-country meets are going to be on Fridays, and there's a few on Thursdays. We'll also be running mornings, so if your child can't come to the afternoon practices or trainings, I run in the mornings, so they can run with me in the morning if they can't come in the afternoon. It's a great league and a great thing to be a part of with cross-country. We're part of the Tawneva League, so that league involves all the middle schools in the Carson area, and all the middle schools around South Lake, North Lake Tahoe, Incline, and Truckee. So it's a really, really good opportunity for them. It's great for them to be out there with the other schools, with the other kids, and be a part of it. If they're not into running, if they say like running's just not my thing, I don't like running, but they do other sports like soccer or football or whatever, it's great cross-training for them. So I highly encourage it. And you never know, we've had so many kids that aren't sure that they want to do it, and then they get into it and they realize, wow, I'm really good at this. And yes. Okay. All middle schools, Tuesday, Thursdays. All right. So if you have any questions, you can email me, and I hope to see your kids out there. Nicole?
Tuesday, Thursday?
Tuesday, Thursdays, right? Middle school PE, Tuesday, Thursdays. Did you have a question? Oh, and also when we send out the forms for sign-ups for volleyball, we need coaches. We need coaches throughout the whole year when we're doing the different sports. And so if you can get involved, if you have any skills in those areas, or even if you don't, your help would be greatly appreciated. Anything else from athletic directors? Yeah. In the mornings, we meet here at 7:30. And I'll give a schedule out to when we're running. I'm pretty flexible with the kids. I know they're involved in other sports, and I really want them to get involved with track or cross country. So if they can't do it because they have practice after school, they could always meet me here in the mornings, and mornings are great runs. Yeah?
So they just change their uniform after they run?
Yeah. Yeah, they just meet me here and they're running clothes and then they change. Katie? No, we'll do mornings next. I'm not gonna have practice the first, we're not gonna run on Monday. But we will be running next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday afternoon, and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday morning. So there's plenty of time so that none of the kids can say, I can't count. If you have any other questions, you can email me or call me here at the school. Thank you.
So good, my yellow boxes are filled in, thank you. I'm gonna pass this over.
So, you know, this is, again, taking the place of back to school night. You won't have it next week, so if you have other kids, you're good to go. Any questions at all? We're here. Stop and ask. Otherwise, we'll see you Monday.
No. Just give me 5 minutes.